In today's Sleep Stories video, I sat down with Wassila Hachchi. Hi Wassila.
Hi Ines.
And my first question to you is to introduce yourself to us, to tell us who you are, what you do in your own definition.
Yeah, well, my mission in life is to make dialogue popular as an instrument of communication. And as a speaker, coach and campaign consultant, I work with people who want to be game changers by using true dialogue. And I say true dialogue because we use the word dialogue all the time, but dialogue is actually something different than just a regular conversation. So I'm very passionate about that.
You got me on that one, like the dialogue. It seems like it's an everyday word, you know, but yeah. My question number 2 for you is, what really triggered the idea? If you could share a little bit with us.
Yes.
It's something that I've never heard of before, like, you know, making dialogue, instrumentalizing it that way.
Yeah. Well, it was actually born, this idea for dialogue and my passion for dialogue is born out of frustration. I have served 6 years in politics, and it was during my time in politics in which I realized the lack of dialogue. Not only in politics, but actually in society. But in politics, it felt for me like a pressure cooker, and I missing dialogue, like true human connection, because that's what true dialogue is, making true human connection. The lack of that after 3 years, 2 years actually, I became so sad, so unhappy.
So was it like it came out of really personal sadness, state of sadness?
Yes, it came...
Something that you needed yourself, or you wished you had back in those days?
Yeah, well, to be honest, when I look back on my life, the reason why I served and why I was successful at serving as a military and as a civil servant was because I was using the instrument dialogue without even knowing it, that it was dialogue. So I flourish when I make true human connection. And I came into politics because of the way that I did my work, but the political environment was an environment in which I couldn't make that true human connection. I tried it, and that's where I felt like powerless. Like every day I felt drained, and after 2.5 years I was so unhappy on the inside, because on the outside I did my job, but on the inside I was feeling like I was losing myself. So I really hit rock bottom, asking myself the question, what am I doing in politics? Who am I? And that's when I started listening within myself.
And that's where you took the leap, in your own way?
Well, not right away. I started listening to myself, and that's where what came up was I captured it in the word dialogue. And I realized that if I want to help people or convince people to understand dialogue and to embrace it, I need to embody it. I have to feel it in my DNA, I have to be it, I need to breathe it like air. And I was feeling drained in that time of politics, so I realized I need to get out of politics because I can't change my colleagues and the whole political system from inside out, and definitely not because I didn't feel like I was embodying dialogue at my full speed. So I knew I needed to get out, but that's where my leap
story starts.
Yeah, well, the story starts in terms of taking a leap because I was afraid.
And I want to stop you here at that point and ask you something that I asked all of my guests actually, or have the intention to ask, is what is your definition of the leap?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. For me, a leap means being really afraid, but doing it anyway. And that sounds cool to do it anyway, but if you really feel fear, and in my case was leaving politics, leaving a position, you're in power, you have status, you have family and friends that are proud of you, and leaving all that, and also leaving without having approval. What will people say? I'm a public figure. What will the media say? All of these questions and all of these fears came together, and that made it for me so difficult to follow, to make the leap. But at the same time, my inner voice, which gave me the message of dialogue, was so strong. So I knew I needed to do it, and I did it. But the balance and the fear, having it on one hand, and the feeling I need to do it in the other hand, and doing it anyway with the fear in your hand, that was my leap, which wasn't easy. But I felt like on the inside, I needed to do it. It's good, but my head and the rational part of it, yes, the thoughts, which are basically, I now understand, thoughts and ideas are not always yours. Those are projections that you have from your life, family, friends, environment, society. So you have to find the difference between your inner voice, your GPS or intuition or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So what's yours and what's actually not really yours.
And if you were to think backwards a little bit and try to recall those moments of, try to recall your leap story really, or your leap, what were some of the learnings or some of the really fundamental mindset changes or mindset shifts that, if you could just state one for all of us, that would be great.
The most important one that I can share is, I would say with dialogue, we say listen, think, speak is like the principle of dialogue. Listen first, think, and then speak. And my first, and I think my number one advice that I can share, what I've learned myself, is listen first of all within yourself. The self-dialogue. So listen, think, and then speak. What I did was listening, and that's where I found myself again. What's driving me in life? Why am I here? What am I afraid of? And in relationship to the leap, I realized afterwards, like last year when I was in the United States, I realized that I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid to die before I have showed the world who I am and shared my gift with the world and what I want to see in terms of change in life. And that's not the house, it's not the car, that's not the money. It's something that you're gonna leave in terms of your legacy. Like, I've been here in this world. So that was my main lesson, and it starts with listening within yourself. So your self-dialogue. Listen,
and I think this is like the perfect way to close on a very high note, because that was very powerful. So thank you for that, and thank you for watching, and till the next Sleep Stories from Barcelona. Bye.